Real quick, our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company are helping your business. Minnesota and Federated have been a match for business owners for over 100 years. And they've recently launched My Shield, the online client destination for risk management resources. So if you're a business owner, how helpful would it be for you to have employee training at your fingertips, industry resources that can help your business reach another level of success? That's where My Shield comes in. You can get registered today on federatedinsurance.com or download the app. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. You guys want to do a little quick Twins Tuesday action here?
Oh, of course.
Let's do it.
Of course.
Twins, middle of spring training.
On TV
How much time have you guys spent on Byron Buxton potentially wanting a new contract?
We have not.
This the first time? Okay.
Yep.
So Byron Buxton reportedly, and he's even sort of just spoken publicly about it'd be nice to get a contract extension, et cetera. And my first thought when I started catching up on some of the weekend sports news and saw this was, boy, aren't we all in the same bin here? Byron, the Twins, the fans, that we would all love after 6 years of Byron Buxton in the major leagues. We would all love to have a better idea as to whether he's worth a contract extension or not. Like, isn't it amazing for you guys? This dude's 27 years old now. He's been in the major leagues for 6 years. This is gonna be year 7 for him. And we're all kind of sitting here still thinking, should we get married? Like, is this a guy that we want around for the next 4 to 5 years? The fact that we've learned almost nothing about him other than, well, he's got a lot of potential. He's fast. And when he's hot offensively, he can carry you. But I don't know. Injuries are a question. We've been saying the same thing for probably 8 years with Byron Buxton. And I find that amazing. Would you guys entertain like a 4-year contract extension, taking him into his early 30s?
I absolutely would, but here's the key. It's on my terms. I'm not going to sign him. So the one good thing about the fact that he has had so much trouble staying on the field is he has no question lessened his value to me. But that being said, I've also seen enough to know that when he can play, he is a very effective player. But now if he's going to get an extension and we're going to talk contract, we have to meet in the middle of that. So it can't be, oh boy, we're going to pay you on, 4 years of potential. That's not how this works now, Byron. I'm sorry about that. You can't stay healthy, and it's proven. And by the way, what hurts him is there is no now magic elixir to keeping him healthy. Like, yes, he crashes into fences, and yes, it would help if he didn't. But I'll go back to last year in the training camp that they held in July. He chased a fly ball in basically a scrimmage and mysteriously twisted his ankle and was lost for weeks again. So he finds ways to get hurt. So I would definitely sign him. I would definitely sign him to a long-term extension, but it has to be on my terms too. And so I'm not going to reward him for what might be. I'm going to find a way to reward him and give him security, but it also has to be fair to what I'm doing, because when you get hurt as much as he does, I see no reason to assume that he won't continue to miss significant time.
I think you just nailed it. And this is what sucks for baseball players is you don't really get to make money your first 6 years in the major leagues based on how good you are. It's a suppressed system for baseball players. Their first 6 years of team control, and the first 3 years of team control, you're making $500,000 a year. I think it's up to like $600,000, which sounds great for normal, common, everyday people. But imagine like in the NBA, most of the really good players are first round picks, and they're at least like they're playing on these multi-million-dollar contracts out of the gate, right? Well, a lot of the really good players in baseball were not first-round picks. There's 50 rounds in the Major League Draft. And so now Byron Buxton got a nice little $6 or $7 million signing bonus when he was a rookie, so he's fine. But so I empathize that players, when they hit free agency, would like to get paid for lost time. Like, all right, Mike Trout, right? I was the most productive player for you for $500,000 for a few years and won a couple of MVP awards. Now you're going to pay me $40 million a year. With Byron Buxton, you can't pay him based on the ideal pie in the sky version of him. You have to pay him based on what he is. And what he is after 6 years is an interesting, good, he's a great defensive player when he's on the field, but he's a good complementary piece to your roster. He's not a centerpiece to your roster as an overall player because he's not reliable enough. And I think offensively, when you start to talk about potential versus reality, the fact that he's played in like 450 career major league games, 1,500 career major league plate appearances, and has a 289 on base percentage is very telling. And I went and looked up just the last 20 years of Major League Baseball players that have had at least 1,500 plate appearances. And he has one of the 15 lowest on base percentages over that essentially era of baseball. And most of the guys on that list are like backup catchers that just like they're not there for their offense. They're like Drew Butera, right?
Alder came could really block the ball.
Yeah. So I would be interested in having him around until he's 30 or 31. Yeah. But you also have to keep in mind, once players in all sports hit the ages of like 26, 27 going forward, speed starts to erode. Kirby Puckett moves to right field. Torrey Hunter moves to right field. Like that starts to happen. Andrew Jones, your speed starts to go away in your late 20s and your early 30s. Now, he'll still be one of the fastest players in the game, even if he loses 25% of his speed. But don't pay for the same attributes that were there when he was 23 when he's 30, because they're not going to be there in the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't do that. And if a guy is going to get paid at this point, it's probably going to be if he deserves a Barrios, which I would do, especially if he has a good year. But yeah, Buxton has been, and that goes back to my point about how many guys in the last 15 years in this town have we been excited about? And we've said this is a superstar. Like this is the next guy. This is the next guy that everyone's going to have a Buxton jersey. Sano, Towns. I can go through the entire list. Teddy. And we don't get that. I mean, we still get good at times, and they're exciting, and that doesn't make them bad players, but we never get the payoff. And I mean, the payoff for Buxton was supposed to be this guy who could play every day, phenomenal. By now, he'd be hitting what, first or third or something like that. Gold glove upon gold glove. Like the gold gloves were a given. Like those were just going to follow the fact that, let's say he played in 145 games. So the disappointment there is big, but the one payoff for it that the Twins get is I think that Buxton is going to be forced to sign a very fair deal, which is great, and I'm fine with, but I don't think there's anybody in their right mind now who's going to say that we'll continue to pay you on potential. Because
God, batting him ninth was supposed to be all right. So we're just gonna be comfortable. It's like 7 years later, and he's still batting ninth. And I'm a Buxton guy. I think defensively alone, he's worth having around, even if he's just not getting on base and striking out all the time. But yeah, it's pretty amazing that going into his 7th year in the major leagues, and we're sitting here like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Hey, Phil, both your in air quotes star players are the exact same way. The first baseman's the same. Like I
know more about him than I know about Buxton.
Or you're just done. But that's the sad thing. Like that's the scary thing.
Would you give Byron Buxton 4 years, $60 million? That was
it's so hard to answer because there's not a salary cap, and so it's like, on one hand, right. On the other hand, okay, well, what budget are they operating within, and will it prevent them from, signing a free agent or something? So you're saying 4 years, 60. So is that
like
15?
It's like a little
15.
15 or so.
It's 15. Yeah, I would. I think that would be fair. But to Phil's point, I think it's very important then to sit down with your books and say, what would this stop us from doing?
Yeah. Here's the other thing too is like, and this is more of a Twins benefit. There still is the upside and the potential of him being like a guy who gets MVP votes. Like that player exists. And so I'm not saying you have to completely ignore his potential.
Right.
15 million sounds fair. I would probably do that contract.
But I mean, we are to the point now, and it's not his fault. I get that. He can't stay healthy. Like it's nothing to do with he wants to. I think he works hard. I think he's wired. I think he's wired great. Like he's a tough kid, tough competitor. I think he works damn hard to make himself a good baseball player. So like there's nothing here with him being Miguel-like where you're like, yeah, dude, do you really want this? I can't really tell. No, he can't stay healthy. And go back and look at the injury history. It's unbelievable. Like, I think we all think, well, if you just quit crashing into walls, and yes, that's dumb. But I'm talking about you twist your ankle. The Friday night game against the Reds last year, you mysteriously, like for no reason, because it's just a fluky thing, get hit in the head and get a concussion. Like you find ways. It follows you around like Pigpen. Like it's this weird, it's just this weird dynamic. But at some point in time, it's not just flukes, right? Like at some point in time, it's just what the hell?
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. It's interesting. Are you guys ready for an episode here of Dex Reviews?
Oh, I'm ready.
To wrap up this Tuesday episode of Mackey.
I am, because I think I have questions about this. Oh, and by the way, if you don't enjoy this, it's a podcast. Just go past it.
That's fine.
And now Phil Mackey updates Judd Zolgad on the latest happenings from The Bachelorette.
Now, I want to preface this by saying I have not seen, this is the second time all season where I have not seen the episode that Dex is going to review.
God.
So ran into a little bit of a snafu with YouTube TV, like had to do a couple things to make sure that like it was blocking my access to the local Minnesota channels.
You can't escape YouTube TV.
Although I did last night. It's very exciting. It's easier for me to watch Minnesota sports games as a YouTube TV subscriber outside the market. So dude, first thing I did when I got here was like all right, MLB, NHL, NBA, like let's rock this. Let's go month to month on the winter sports, and then we'll go full season on Major League Baseball package. So screw you, Sinclair, and your greedy.
You had to leave the state.
So Declan, I'm willing to be spoiled here. You have 60 seconds on the clock to review and summarize Fantasy Suite Week on The Bachelor.
All right, here we go. So Michelle gets the first night alone in the fantasy suite, but first Matt brings his dad on, and Matt calls him out for leaving him as a kid. And there's some obvious tension between the two. It was very awkward. Eventually, they find a common ground before Matt heads the fantasy suite weekend. While he's with Michelle, they go on a spa day, and I'm not kidding. They rub each other with butter and milk. It was one of the most vile and least romantic things I have ever seen. Anyway, they spend the night together, and Michelle tells Matt she's in love. While he's with Bree, Matt and Bree go camping, and they discuss their issues that they both have with their dads, but they spend the night together too. Finally, it's Rachel's turn, everyone's favorite horrible person. And she's all upset because she's the last one to go. They do a ceramics date. She's not having it because she's upset that she was the last to go. But she tells them that she's ready for marriage, and they end up spending the night together. And there's fireworks going off as the camera goes to commercial. Interesting. As the episode concludes, Michelle gets the first rose. Moving on to the finals, and horrible Rachel gets the last rose. Bree gets sent home. So the final edition is Michelle and Rachel.
And Mackey gets a write that down home run. That's right.
Write that down. So you got it.
Okay, can we go back to the
Wait. What's her home run? That Michelle wins?
No, I had the final two. The final two being Michelle and Rachel.
You did have Michelle winning, which is a home run, and that was after the first week.
Yeah.
So there's potentially two bombs on the table.
So it's not done yet. It's done now or it's not done?
Mm-mm.
No, we're into the finals here. The final two. Yep.
Okay.
Edina, Michelle, and racist Rachel.
So Judd, we've never talked about what they do when they get down to two. They fight to the death, and whoever's still alive gets to marry the Bachelor. It's crazy.
And one lives? That's too bad.
Okay, I have a question about so you said Michelle's date with Matt, the Bachelor. They were rubbing what on each other?
Butter and milk.
So what happens if you're like, let's say Michelle is lactose intolerant? Do they ask, or do they did they listen? Hey, you're going to be rubbing dairy all over yourselves. So
where'd they rub it?
Like all over each other's bodies, like all over each other's body, even to the point.
How much clothing?
They were in like swimsuit attire. They're in a swimsuit attire. At first, they were like soaking their feet in like the weird milk stuff, but then my consultant looked up the spa, like the actual spa where they were at. There's nothing that has butter or milk in the spa, like treatments or amenities. So this was definitely, I think, a producer thing. It had to have been a producer thing.
Some producer with a weird fetish.
Oh, let's rub each other butter and milk. Like that is the most vile thing I've ever heard. And I'm all about like treating yourself and doing a spa day. But butter and milk, I want nothing to do. I don't rub that on me.
Have you ever rubbed a food item on a young lassie, Declan?
Not. No. There's a lot of firsts that
Whipped
I'd like
cream?
to accomplish, but no, that's not
No
one of
whipped
them.
cream for you, Dex?
No.
Oh,
no.
yeah, you get that sucker out there. Yeah.
No.
Spray it all over. Plus, it's good.
No. What?
No.
Hey, honey, I'm home.
Listen, honey, you can't have a pie without Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Oh,
Listen, Cool Whip is perfect, man. It's good on everything.
And Judd means everything.
Everything.
Oh, God.
I'm all
right.
about the Bachelor now.
Amazing. All right. Well,
Yeah, like
Declan, great job with your review there. Dex reviews every week here on the show, and I think we should motion. We slowed down the pace of Judd reviews wrestling, but I think we should bring one back next week. The pipe bomb, the CM Punk pipe bomb.
Okay, CM Punk.
Judd explains wrestling next Tuesday.
Do you have Peacock?
Yes,
Because WWE Network transitions to Peacock here in a couple weeks.
I do have it.
So if you're
from Fox or where?
No, like WWE Network was its own entity.
Oh, it's gone.
And McMahon sold it for an insane amount of money to Peacock, and so now they'll have the exclusive rights.
Peacock's pretty good,
and I
do enjoy it.
The only thing I'm tempted about,
service.
because even I was about to text you, Phil, yesterday. I was on a binge of 1998 Survivor Series when Rock wins his first major title against Mankind in the finals. And I'm really, they're saying the backlog catalog is going to take a little bit to catch up to Peacock. And if I'm not able to watch a Raw episode from November of 1997, I'm going to be very upset.
Honestly, as they load their backlog in, they should just start with everything from 1997 through like 2003.
Exactly.
Forget about the rest.
Yeah.
All right. That's a wrap on this episode of Mackey and Judd. And don't forget, daily Vikings conversations on Purple Daily. And you can find all of our content, one central hub on the Score North app, free to download, Apple and Android devices. We'll see you guys tomorrow.